Welcome to the presentation on climate change. This is an introduction as the target audience are common people.
The agenda for presentation is:
what is climate change?
what does it cause?
What are the impacts on nature?
How are human lives affected?
How can we deal with it? Have you heard about climate change?
No. What is it?
God decided to change the climate.
Is it good or bad?
Isn't this why my crops aren't growing?
Okay, I'll explain.
Climate change or global warming means temperature rise. This leads to different changes in nature, and those affect the well-being of people.
But it is not certain how much global temperatures will rise and to what extent this will affect nature. But what is certain is that, due to a rise in temperatures, the frequency and intensity of climatic hazards will increase.
How much has average global temperature increased? Did you know that since 1800 the temperature has risen by 0.8 degrees? By the end of the century, the temperature will have risen by 2 to 5 degrees. What does this graph show? The average temperature of the years 1961 to 1919 has been taken and is compared with the temperature between 1860 and 2005. The dots are the annual averages and the line shows the 5-year averages. In 1860 it was 0.4 degrees cooler compared with our benchmark. Already in 2005 the average temperature lies 0.4 degrees higher. This shows that the temperature is rising faster than it has been in the past.
Why is the temperature rising?
Natural warmth of the Earth. In this picture we see the space, the Sun and the Earth, the atmosphere of the Earth with its greenhouse gas belt. The Sun is shining, sunbeams enter the atmosphere. Some of the beams are reflected. This warms the Earth. The heat is radiated back into space. Some of the radiation is reflected back to Earth. As we create more greenhouse gases with driving cars or manufacturing, the belt of greenhouse gases increases. As the greenhouse gas layer is thicker, less heat radiation goes back into space, but the more is reflected back to Earth. This blocks the heat and makes the temperature rise.
What does the rising temperature do to nature?
The increasing temperature impacts on rise in sea level,
Floods,
erratic rainfall,
droughts,
extreme weather events,
melting of glaciers.
disease. Why does the sea level rise? We have heard that the temperature increases. This leads firstly to the expansion of the ocean. Why is this? If you heat water, its volume will increase due to thermal expansion. Secondly, glaciers melt. This will bring more water into the oceans. Both these reasons make the sea level rise. And this will be 50 to 100 centimeters by the end of the century.
This is a map of India. If the sea level rises by 1 meter, the coastline would be badly affected. The most affected regions would be the Run of Kutch region, Ganga-Brahmaputra Delta, Konkan Coast, and Coromandel Coast. Now we consider the effect of rising sea levels on a metropolitan city like Mumbai. As you can see, almost the entire city will be flooded, resulting in major losses in property, infrastructure, and livelihood. Moving on to the next climate hazards, that is floods. Floods are mainly caused due to two reasons: changed monsoon patterns and river level increase during monsoon season. Scientists have observed that there has been increase in all India summer monsoon rainfall while decrease in rainfall in states like Rajasthan, Punjab and Tamil Nadu. This means that more rainfall will occur in flood-prone areas while less rainfall will occur in drought-prone areas. Also, the number of rainy days is likely to decrease while the intensity of rains is likely to increase. The reason why more rainfall occurs in flood-prone areas is, with increasing temperature, air becomes more dry. This results in increase in moisture holding capacity of air, thus causing more rainfall in the Indian subcontinent. This is a map of India showing monsoonal patterns for the period 2071 to 2100. As you can observe, yellow regions show areas where droughts would be more frequent. These regions are parts of Rajasthan, parts of Haryana, and parts of Tamil Nadu. Blue regions show areas where floods would be more frequent. These regions are parts of Maharashtra and northeastern parts of India. This is a picture of Mumbai floods that occurred in July 2005. There was a record rainfall of 944 millimeters and over 1,000 lives were lost. A lot of money was spent to rebuild infrastructure and property. The second reason for floods is increased river level. River level generally increase in monsoon season. During this season, glaciers melt at faster rate. Also, there is heavy downpour due to monsoonal rains. Both of these factors combine and result in increase in river level. This is a picture of Kosi River flooding that occurred in August 2008. More than 2.3 million people were affected and many were rendered homeless. The next climate hazard is erratic rainfall. Erratic rainfall means unpredictability in rains. Sometimes it may rain heavily when not expected, and sometimes it may not rain at all. Apart from bringing floods, the effect of erratic rainfall has a major bearing on the agricultural sector of a country. The next climate hazard is droughts. India is dependent on the vagaries of monsoon rains and thus more vulnerable to droughts. It has been observed that severe droughts occur once in every 5 years and more than 500 million people live in drought-prone areas. Statistics say that 26 droughts have occurred in last 130 years and 1987 and 2002 were major drought years.
Extreme weather events. We have heard about extreme weather events like floods and droughts. Now, we look at other extreme weather events such as cyclones. The recent tropical storm Ayla killed 191 Indians and made many hundreds homeless. Since the 1970s, cyclones are more frequent. The intensity is likely to increase by 2100, and almost a quarter of the Indian population will be affected. The other extreme weather event we talk about is heat wave. A heat wave is a period of abnormally hot and humid weather. Heat waves will occur more often, be more intense, and will result in a higher number of deaths. This can be seen from the tall figure in 2002, 3 and 5. More recently, 80 people died in the heat waves in Orissa and West Bengal.
Moving on to the next climate hazard, that is glacial melt. During dry season, meltwater from Himalayan glaciers provide the country's major rivers like Ganga, Brahmaputra and Yamuna with 85% of their water. An estimated 750 million people live in watershed areas originating from these glaciers. But lately, scientists have observed that some of these glaciers are receding at an alarming rate. Gangotri, which is the source of river Ganga, has been observed to be receding since 1780. The now perennial river Ganga faces the prospect of becoming seasonal as a long-term consequence of glacial melt.
Now we turn to the last impact discussed, disease. As it will be warmer and more humid, the environment for mosquitoes to breed will be more comfortable. The number of months in which malaria and dengue fever can be transmitted is said to increase, as we see in the pictures